One of the best copywriting resources that you can find online and for free is the Gary Halbert Letter. And I've encouraged you many times to review these newsletter because there's a ton of information you can find in them. I think that we tend to take for granted things that are available to us for free, but I'm sure that more people would take an interest in these letters if Gary Halbert actually attached a payment system to them. In other words, if they were behind a membership site. But one of my favorite letters of the set is the what we refer to as the Water Ad. And here you have the newsletter, and this newsletter is for 2005 11/09/05, just in case you want to look it up on Gary's website, or you can just do a Google. You can Google Gary Halbert Water Ad, which is what I did in order to pull up this letter. Now here Gary says that that this entire newsletter is going to consist of one ad that I wrote for a client some time ago. I think reading it will prove very instructive to you. After you read it, I would like you to email me. Okay, that's not really relevant, but the whole idea about it is that where I agree very much with him is that the sales letter itself is very, I think the sales letter itself is very instructive, and that is the reason why I've taken some time in this video in order to analyze this ad to see the different copywriting techniques, the hidden copywriting techniques that Gary is using in this letter. Now here's the way in which he has the letter structured. I don't think that's the way it was actually printed, where it was actually used, because there's no paragraphing and so forth. So what I did is that I simply copy and pasted this letter, and I did some formatting of the letter so that it would be easier for us to discuss. So let's go to the reformatted letter, which I think will be much easier to read. So here we go. Now keep in mind that this was an advertisement, a full page ad in an investor's magazine, and hence you don't have dear reader, dear friend, and the normal salutations and the date and so forth. Okay, keep in mind that this is a full page ad, and the target market consists of investors. He starts out, warning, do not read this unless you are already rich. Now warning for sure gets your attention right away. Okay, and here he's using the technique of what we refer to as intimidation. In other words, he's saying, warning, do not read this unless you're already rich. It means therefore then whether you're rich or not, you're going to read it, because simply because you warned me not to read it, that's the reason why I'm going to do it. In other words, this builds curiosity to the person who is reading it. So a very attention-getting headline. Do not read it. Once you tell me not to read it, well, I'm going to read it. Things that are banned, things that are exclusive, things that are placed behind a wall, things that are fenced, all of a sudden, things that are packaged, so you cannot see what's inside. All of a sudden, it builds a lot of curiosity. So warning the reader not to read something is just the best way to get them to read it. Okay. So he starts by saying, if you would like to know how someone can start with a simple idea and then generate over $51 million in sales in just 1 year, this is going to be the most interesting message you ever read. Okay, this is a typical style of using the if-then statement that Gary Halbert loves so much. John Carlton also uses this. John Carlton, who happens to be a disciple of Gary Halbert, also uses that as well too, and they all got it from, I think was what's his name was again, Johnny Kennedy, and so it is the famous if-then statement. Okay, where you are putting in a benefit. You're saying that you're challenging the person to get this benefit. If they want this benefit, then this is what they can do. Okay, so here he's giving a benefit for reading the letter itself. In other words, if you want to find out more about how someone can start with a simple idea and make this kind of a money, then this is going to be a very important message. And then it follows the here's why. Okay, and this is one of the formulas that I use to start many of my sales letters. And if you are suffering from writer's block, or if you don't know how to really start your sales letter, this is a tried and true method, and I would say that it would never fail. If then, and then here's why. You give them the reason why. Okay, So there's a guy in California named Carl Palmer who, until recently, was very wealthy and very bored. He got rich the first time by starting a company in 1970, which is sold out to Coca-Cola just 3 years later on. Now, keep in mind that this is written to investors. Investors are typically an educated bunch, but he is using a very conversational tone in the letter. He's talking about that there's this guy. So he's almost talking to the reader as though he's at a bar and he has discovered this wonderful investment tip, and he's now going to relate this information over to you. So it's not written in a academic kind of tone, where he's going to give you statistics and graphs and tell you what the possibilities are, the projection and so forth. He's just talking to you as though he's a guy you met at a bar, you met on a picnic, you met on the bus, and he had just seen this wonderful movie that he wanted to tell you about. He visited this particular restaurant that he wanted to tell you about. So he's using word of mouth genre of writing, okay? And when we speak to our friends about something, we do not speak in the kind of official language that we would normally speak to, like we're doing a sale presentation. So right away, it relaxes the reader, okay? He doesn't feel as though you're trying to persuade him. He doesn't seem as though you're trying to sell him, okay? Right away, he's making the reader his friend, okay? And so he's using a very conversation, colloquial kind of language, there's this guy, his name is Carl Palmer. He was very wealthy and bored. He got rich, starting a company in 1970, and he sold it to Coca-Cola. Okay, very conversational, on the street kind of way of talking. Okay, he said as part of the deal, he had to sign a non-compete agreement with a duration of 5 years. So we say as part of the deal, he had to sign a non-compete agreement with a duration of 5 years. After the 5 years, what he's doing here is that he's building up the credibility of Carl Palmer. Okay, he want to show you the kind of background he has, so you build confidence in knowing that this is a guy who is able to invent winning products, and this is the caliber of companies that he deals with. Okay, so and Shackley, he was able to use the reverse osmosis water filtration system, and the year what he did $51 million. And referring Coca-Cola, all these are what referred to as name dropping. Okay, so right away he's talking about a guy from California named Carl Palmer, maybe someone that the reader would never have heard about, but for sure they've heard about Coca-Cola, they've heard about the AMF Corporation, and they've heard about Shackley. Okay, so he is taking an unknown guy, someone who's basically in the background, and showing that the gift that this person has, that he has been able to deal with all of these big companies. So he may not have a name of his own, but he's associating him with all of these big companies so that he can right away build the credibility of Carl Palmer. Okay, and so on. He's indicating that, I'm just giving you some examples, but he have had other deals with other big companies as well too, but these are companies that you could identify with right away. Okay, now we say you get the idea. What this guy does is that he comes up with enormous valuable inventions, starts a company to sell these inventions, and soon he goes nuts with all the hassles of running a business, and so he sells out at a large profit to some giant corporation that has the resources and the clout to exploit the living daylights out of whatever he has invented. So here again, he's explaining in a way maybe why you have never heard of this person before, because this person is someone of an inventor. They are just interested in inventing products, getting new products, but they do not want to get into the hassle of running a business. Now, what this does for the investor as well too is that the investor get the idea that here is someone that have inventions that I can make a lot of profit off of. So here is someone who doesn't really have a lot of business savvy, but if you can get the ideas from him, you can make the profit. Okay, you can end up making the profit from this person. So it's almost like here is someone who I could get as much profit out of, because they're not interested in the business side of the product. They're more interested in the invention side. they get their high, they get their excitement from inventing these new products, and therefore, if I get in early, I will be able to be the one to make the profit off of his inventions. But now he has outdone himself. Now, at the request of the Seychelles Technologies Incorporated, he has invented something that is needed by every human being in the world. Okay, and here he's building some curiosity to get you to continue reading further about this new invention. So once you have made your promise and tell you the story about the inventor in order to build the credibility of that person, now he goes into introducing you now to this new invention that this person have just made, and how you can benefit, how the reader, the investor, can benefit from this invention. Now, this invention is almost certain to generate billions in sales. It's a projection. And here's how we came up with the latest invention. He's got a horse ran somewhere near Panama, California, and one day he was out riding one of his horses, and he was bored to tears. You see, this guy has a mind that just won't quit. So he gets to wondering, what would be the world's best product to develop? Is there anything that every human being on earth must have? Yes, there is. It's called water. Again, it goes back into the conversational kind of a tone as well, to like, I'm just passing by. I'm this, someone I met, and I'm not trying to sell you really, but I'm just talking. This is like word of mouth advertising. The reason why word of mouth advertising works so well is because the person is talking to you about this good movie, and they are telling you about, they're giving you their own assessment, their own review of the movie, and therefore your guards are down. You're not thinking that you're really being sold, while actually you're being sold as they tell you all the benefits that they have gotten from viewing this movie. So he goes back into this conversational tone again. Said this guy, he's just bored. He's a brilliant guy, he's a genius. And one time he was just thinking, he said, what could I do? What else could I invent? And he said, there's something that everybody wants and Earth wants. And in indicating as well to that this is something that everybody wants, he is implying to the investor that this is something that has universal appeal, and therefore there's a lot of profit. So he have already started selling, even without selling, by already interjecting the idea that this is a product that everybody's going to want. In other words, your market is vast. Okay? And so he says it's called water. It's tasteless, odorless, colorless, calorie-free, but it is vital to life. It doesn't matter whether you're a dog, a cat, elephant, or microbe. Water is essential. There's no substitute. And he goes on, to talk about water, how many people living on the planet, and so forth. And he's building up his case. Okay? He's already building up his case for the need of this product. One, it has to do with number one here, it has to do with a universal need. Okay, animals, once you're a living thing, you cannot live without water. So this is something that is needed. It goes on to tell you, now he's going to go on now to explain that although this product is universally needed, he's going to go on to explain how it is really limited in its availability. Because you might want to think, well, water, what's so precious about water? But he's now going to go on to explain that the amount of people who have the number of people who live in the world, the amount of water that they're going to need, and he's going to build his case in that respect. Okay? So he goes, every day to keep healthy and stay alive. No water, no life. But so what? Well, there's more water on Earth there is more water on Earth than there is Earth, right? Yes, that's true. However, 90% of that water is seawater. So already he's building exclusivity of fresh, clean water. Okay, so you might think that water is available. That's no big deal, but that's not true. 90% of the water is already seawater. And seawater, of course, is just chock full of salt. Anyone who drinks the seawater would only soon die of thirst and dehydration. Now, you're going to note also in this letter as well, too, that he uses very strong pictures in his arguments. Okay, he's not talking about people who are going to just get sick or you're going to have a stomach ache. He's using very strong language. Okay, you drink seawater and you can die. Okay, this is serious, and this is what we refer to and what this letter actually stands out in as agitation. Okay, that is what we refer to as agitation, where he is what I call pouring fuel on the flame. He's pouring salt in your wound. He's really taking a problem and really blowing it out of proportion. He's making the problem loom before you. and then he's going to present the solution. Okay, so as we go on looking at this letter, you're going to realize how he continue agitating, showing that, okay, you might think there is a lot of water, but no, there's only 3% of the water that's usable. And he's going to use very, very strong language in that respect. Okay, so dehydration, part of the body desperately to flush out what excess salt. Of course, we humans can use seawater if we remove the salt, but that is very expensive. Okay, he's building his case for his product. Seawater is not a good choice for agriculture industry. Either it kills much. He's introducing not only drinking but also the need for water for plants. And it's true, only a mere 3% of the world's water is fresh, not salty, but almost all of that fresh water is locked up in glaciers and caps, and glaciers and ice caps are in deep underground. Now, the very fact that he's giving you these percentages tells you that he has done his homework. I don't know if they're accurate or not. I haven't investigated this to find out really if what percentage of the the Earth's water is fresh and so forth. Considering large lakes and glaciers and so forth, it may be true, but I don't know what the facts are. But the very fact that he's quoting this percentage, he's already selling you on the fact that he already knows. He knows what he's saying. He's done his research, and all these are factual, okay, whether they're true or not. So but most of all, the fresh water is locked up in glaciers and ice caps. So he's making he's making fresh water even scarcer, because 97% is already salty water that cannot be used. We are left with 3%, but a great amount of that percentage is also locked up in ice caps. So it's not practical for us to get that water, okay. And now it comes down to say only 1% of all the water on this planet is easily accessible to mankind. Okay, by the time you reach to this point now, you are feeling thirsty already. Okay, you are realizing, wow, the fresh water that I use this is precious. I never thought this before. And this is a attention getter. You shock the reader by giving them a fact that they have not known. They have never thought about really. I mean, how many people have thought about that only 1% of all the water in the world is fresh and that can be used by humans or by living things? This is not something that you go to bed or wake up in the morning and think about. But right away, he kind of shocks you into reality. You say, wow, I never realized this before. I mean, only 1% of all the water on this planet is easily accessible. And this is a very great attention-getting copywriting technique where you shock the reader by giving them a fact that they had known before. Okay, an interesting fact. Okay, you keep them hooked by telling them something interesting that they have never known before. Okay, so by the time you reach here as well, you have built a lot of exclusivity for this fresh water. And much water is so polluted that it's still killing thousands upon thousands. Okay, you notice the language he's using? Death, killing. Later on, we're going to see he use things about bacteria and cancer. Okay, the language is very shocking. He's trying to get you emotionally involved in this in this copy, and so he's using very, very say you could die of thirst. Okay, so he's using very, very strong imagery in the letter. Again, agitation. So it can make you horribly sick. Do you own a house? If so, go down in the basement with a hacksaw and cut off about an inch of your water pipe. Then get yourself a strong flashlight. Take a careful look at the inside of that water pipe. Guess what? Chances are what you're looking at is not going to be is not going to be pretty. Rust, sediment, lead, dirt, little flecks of animate matter such as rodent feces, chlorine, mercury, and all sorts of other junk. That is really bad news when you put it into your body. Think about what this means. Even if the city where you live does a perfect job, it doesn't even come close of purifying your water supply. Your water, after traveling through several miles of pipes, is still likely to have lots of horrible stuff in it. Okay? Again, here is agitation. In other words, he's getting you to say yuck. Okay? He's kind of shocking your senses. And here he says, do you own a house? Okay, most likely saying yes. You're an investor. His market, these are people who are home owners. Then he's telling you to do something that he knows that you would not do. Okay, but he is getting you to do it in your own mind. He don't expect you to actually go down in your basement and cut a piece of your pipe, take a flashlight and look. Okay, but he's getting you to do it in your mind, and that is even more powerful than actually doing it itself. Okay, so he's rehearsing in your mind. If you were to go down in your paste pen, cut a pipe. He's telling you how dirty the water that comes through your tap is. Okay, and this is the same. This is the same technique that is used by water companies, those who sell bottled water, in order to get you to buy their filters and to get you to buy their product. Is there really a lot of truth to this? Well, yes and no. The water that comes through your pipe is not the cleanest there is, but there's no way that the water coming through your pipe should be this dirty, because this would basically be illegal. But again, he's trying to make the water appear as dirty as possible. He's trying to make water seem as exclusive as possible, because he's trying to build the value for the product. He's building a case for his client. You know, over and over again, he's showing you that this water is clean water is scarce, and therefore this product is going to be a solution. So this again, over and over again, he's agitating the problem, agitating the problem, agitating the problem. He wants to bring you to the point where you're on the brink of the precipice, and just before you're about to fall over, then afterwards he's going to rescue you. And what is going to rescue you? His product is what's going to rescue you. Okay, so a great case here of agitation. Okay, a great case here of agitation. Get to the point where you're really disgusted with the problem, and now you want the solution. Of course, what the solution is going to be? His product. Okay, his product now becomes the hero that is going to just sweep in and deliver you from all these problems. Okay, when it comes out of your faucet. But very likely your city, you simply can't do a perfect job of cleaning up your water supply. The problem is too overwhelming. So what they do is that they dump chlorine in the water. Okay, so it's telling you the solution that the city uses. But now what he's going to do now is that he's going to have to compare the solution that the city uses to the solution that his client uses. In other words, he's using a comparison. He's doing a side-by-side comparison now here with what the city does and what his product does. Okay, so what they do is that, you know, the city is overwhelmed. There's not much they can do. You know, so what they do is just they dump chlorine in the water. Notice here, dump. Okay, his word is, it's almost appear careless. Of course, the city kind of just dump chlorine in the water, but he's comparing the city's solution to his solution, and in order to make his solution look better, then he used these negative words. Okay, it's like those political ads where they show the opponent in black and white, and they show the person who the ad is about in color. Okay, you're comparing one with the other, but you're making the other person, your opponent, appear as dark as possible. So he uses words, you know, that's like that dump. Of course, the amount of chlorine that is placed in the water, hardly you could use the word dump. Okay, but again, he's want to build a contrast. Okay, which in a way is good, because chlorine kills a lot of those nasty disease-causing bugs in the water, and it's very simple. It's because chlorine itself has this problem, you know, because they say now chlorine is a poison. Again, you can see the strong language that he's using. Okay, chlorine kills all this stuff. So what do you expect it's going to do for you? Well, chlorine is a poison. That's why most of your citizens have fewer cavities in their teeth these days. It's because the chlorine in our drinking water kills those little organic microbes that eat away at the enamel of our teeth. I'm not so sure about this fact. They actually put fluorine in the fluorides in the water to strengthen enamel. I'm not sure about this fact. But again, let's accept it as is. However, using a poison like chlorine to kill the bad guy microbe is sort of like undergoing chemotherapy. Okay, again, you see the strong language he's using. Using chlorine is like he's comparing chlorine to chemotherapy when you have cancer. Okay, in other words, not only do the cancer cell get zapped, many of your non-cancerous cells also get zapped, and often your hair falls out. You get extremely tired and zest of life and considerable. Now, he's not saying that the drinking water with chlorine gives you cancer, but by simply juxtaposing the bad water or dirty water with cancer and chemotherapy, that is the image that is built in your mind. Again, he's building fear, he's building shock, he's getting you to the point of disgusted that you want to take action. Okay, and so that's why the choice of these imagery. Now it goes on. Speaking of cancer, there are 5 different articles in certified publications from the EPA, Massachusetts General Hospital, Halbert, University of Georgia, and University of Florida that all prove, again, credibility, that drinking chlorinated water increases your chances of dying by cancer. See, of dying from cancer by 44%. Again, shock value. Wow, and you can actually die from chlorinated water. Plus, it all kinds of other bad horrible effects on your health. But wait, don't go getting angry with your municipal water company. They are very likely doing the best job considering the huge problems they are trying to solve. Yes, it's true. Chlorine is bad for you, but the bad guys that would otherwise still be alive in your water supply, if it wasn't chlorinated, is truly the stuff of nightmares. Now, the fact that it comes in to defend the public water system makes him appear fear. So, in other words, he's beating up on the municipal guys, but at the same time defending them. Okay, so he's telling you, well, don't get angry with the municipal water company because they're trying their best. In other words, up to that point, that was their best, but he has something better in mind. Okay, so he still appears like the hero. He appears like the hero because he beats up on the municipal guy, but at the same time, he doesn't appear unfair because he comes in he jumps into their defense. Okay, very good technique. Okay, and so plus it has all kinds of other bad stuff, but wait, don't get angry. Okay, we're doing that. When you start talking about E. coli, amoebic cysts, cryptosporidium, giardia, and so on, you're talking about biological villains. Again, he's naming all of these stuff that maybe you may never have heard about, but again, it makes his argument appear scientific. Okay, and by using these scientific words, again, you trust him to say, well, oh, he has done his homework. Okay, and but he brings it back down to street level again by referring to them as biological villains. Okay, so he's giving you the names, and then he's also using a kind of a colloquial language, something that you could really understand. Okay, so health problems don't even want to know about. Again, chlorine is like chemotherapy. Again, he's keeping that image in your mind. It's a lesser of two evils. In truth, any way you look at it, it's still a terrible situation. So what's the answer? Well, now he's going to bring in his product now as the hero. The hero of the story is now going to come in and rescue you. What's the answer? Well, millions of Americans now have water filtration devices in their homes, and that does solve part of the problem. However, when Carl Palmer was doing his research, he discovered that 50 to 6% of all the water we drink in our lifetime is water we drink away from home. So yes, filtration does work, and that helps the problem, but what about when you're not at home? I mean, what are you going to do? It's no wonder the bottled water industry is such a big business. How big it is? I'm glad you asked. In the United States alone, annual sales volume bottled water is more than $4.2 billion. Okay? So here again, he's closing his arguments to show you that up to this point, all his argument would fit the same argument for bottled water. In other words, up to this point, you could have used his exact sales letter to sell bottled water. Okay? And but now he's proving to you that there's a market by showing you the amount of money that bottled water make, and it is because bottled water is a solution to this problem that he has discussed before. So one of the solution is filtration at home. The other solution is that of bottled water. But the bottled water industry now is something now that he now have to go up on. In other words, he has to show you that he has a better solution at the bottled water company. Okay, but there's a couple of problems with the bottled water. Surprise, surprise. First, there are about 350 different brands. Not all of them are selling good water. Some of it is as bad as the plain old ordinary water. Some of it is even worse. In fact, some of it is ordinary tap water. And how they're running a racket. You fill a plastic bottle with water from a faucet and then sell it for 2,000% markup. Again, he's showing you how the bottled water company could be ripping off people. But at the same time, he's also selling you on the possibility of the solution that he's going to offer. So imagine if the bottled water company are making this amount of profit. Imagine the amount of profit that you are going to make when we have something better than what the bottled water company are offering. So while he's hitting on the bottled water company, at the same time, he is also building up his own product. So secondly, whether it's good or bad, all bottled water is expensive, okay? And so he's not going to hit his competition by showing, how expensive bottled water is. And he gives an example. He goes to an extreme. He's talking about Miami Beach, convenience, and it's a convenience store. The area is a tourist area. A convenience store is normally more expensive than a Walmart per se. An 11-ounce bottle of water sells for $1.40. This is not the normal price, but he's going to the highest possible price in order to make his point. He wants to show you the great contrast between what his product is going to cost and what bottled water sells for. So this is not your typical price for bottled water, but he's going for the highest possible just to show the contrast. Okay, so it shows you'll discover the work of 1620. Actually, because Miami Beach is a resort area and Perrier is one of the more costly bottled water per gallon, the price is higher than average. So he admits it. However, even in non-resort areas, the usual price for bottled water still can be high. Okay, $7 or $8 per gallon. Plus, almost every American who buys bottled water buys a lot of it. I mean, really a lot. Let's face it, you need water every day. And if you exercise, you need even more than other people. That's why many health-conscious Americans spend more than $1,600 per year just on bottled water. Okay, so he's building the case now for the need for the product and show you that this is a product that is already being used. People are already spending their money for the product. Okay, for just one bottle of water. But now let's talk about something truly exciting. Now he's going to give his product. Imagine you got to a store, you buy yourself a bottle of water, Evian, Perrier, Arrowhead, or any other brand of water. Then you drink the water from the bottle. But instead of throwing the bottle away, you're going to the store to get another one. You fill up the empty bottle with water from a faucet or from a lake or from a river or even a public swimming pool. Next, you put the cap back on the water on the bottle, and because the cap has an incredible effective filter, which is now his product, on the bottle, on the bottom of it, the water that now comes out of the bottle will be equal or better in taste and purity than the water you originally purchased. Only you didn't have to buy it again. Okay, and this is his miracle product. Which means instead of paying $7 or $8 per gallon for bottled water, that is not even guaranteed to be pure, you end up getting water that is guaranteed to be pure for mere pennies per gallon. Okay, this is a rescue. The hero that comes in and rescue. Plus, you don't have to run back to the store whenever you need more water. Plus, you can take your bottle with new space age magic filter bottle cap anywhere you go, even Mexico, and you will always have an endless supply of the purest water to drink. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? Well, because Carl Palmer has developed the Seychelles technology, this is now a dream come true. You see, Carl is an inventor of the reverse osmosis water filtration system, which is what he sold to Coca-Cola. So he has experience, credibility, but that's what Carl invented 27 years ago. It's still a very effective water filtration system, and it's still in widespread use. However, the water filtration system Carl has now invented exclusively for Seychelles Technologies. Technologies is leap years ahead. Any other system on the market, including the one he personally invented 27 years ago. So he has experience in this field. He's something that he's done before, but now he's even better in himself. One of the reasons Carl was able to create this amazing new filter is he owns the world distribution rights to something called Sorbent Media, which it turns out is very likely to be best water filtration material on the planet. One of the reasons that he's going to explain why this is better now. The pore size is 2 microns compared to 50 or 100 microns, so smaller sieve. So, which means that much higher percentage of the toxic bad guys can't get through the filter. Plus, this material is so thin, if you would unravel the amount of it compressed into this tiny new super efficient filter, it would cover a surface area of 15,000 square feet. Okay, and again, shock value to show you how great a filter this is. This filter also has ionic properties, which means it has the ability to chemically bond to volatile organic compounds often found in polluted water. In other words, it just reaches out and grabs them. They're another breed of disgusting toxin villains and holds them to the surface. Now notice here again that he's done for the second time. And this is a technique that you'll find in scientific articles that are written for the layman. What it does is that he gives this scientific explanation. Okay, this is scientific explanation, and then he places this in layman language. In other words, he finds some imagery in order to show you what is happening. So he gives you the scientific information, and then he uses a common language. Okay, so he gives you the doctor language, the scientific language, and he gives you the layman language. In other words, it just reaches out and grabs them and holds them to the surface of the filter. Okay, you can understand that even if you don't know what ionic properties are, what volatile organic molecules are, and so forth. The bottom line, water passes through this filter is equal to or even better than the water found in any bottled water you can buy anywhere in the world. The second bottom line, because the unique materials used to create this filter, it can be miniaturized to the size of a walnut and still purify an enormous amount of water. So what Seychelles Technologies now has ready to market is not water, it's water bottle that purifies water. It's plastic, about the same size of a bottle of Arian, and he's naming the best and well-known bottled water companies for what you have, but the difference is the cap that goes on the bottle has an amazing ion microfiltration device. It's a major trade secret attached to the bottom of it, and a small plastic straw goes through the top of the cap. Here's repetition again for the explanation. Fill the bottle with water from almost any source, again repetition. Screw the cap on, then you can sip through the straw and drink safe water from any location on earth. This space age water bottle retails for $29.95, and it will purify so much water. You can fill it more than 1,000 times. So to get the same amount of pure water, again he's comparing price against price. By purchasing bottled water, you would have to spend approximately $1,700 dollars. Okay, and he added on the extra zero for the cents just to make it seem larger than it actually is. Plus, you'd have to keep going back to the store over and over. This invention saves lives. It has the potential to eradicate a significant percentage of human health problems, and it is now being introduced on an emergency basis in Mexico, Argentina, China. So this is something that have already been tested, and everybody sees that it's work. And is now going to be some very private market research indicate that in 1980 this product is literally going to swamp the US market. Okay, again, projection. Okay, now Carl Palmer is extremely passionate about his invention because, as stated earlier, it can save lives and prevent an enormous amount of human misery. That's why he has chosen to work exclusively with Seychelles Technologies, who in turn have agreed not to become involved with any other projects, so they can focus 100% on the production and marketing of this one item. Okay, that is something that investors would be concerned about. Seychelles Technologies, so where they're located, has enormous growth potential. They are passionately committed to producing and marketing Karl Marx's amazing new invention. As fast as they're fascinating, here is now talking about things that the investor would be concerned about. Company information, company background, what they've done before, what kind of financial backing they are, how stable they are. Okay, he's answering all the objections that investors will be concerned about. If you'd like to have more information about inside the company, you're welcome to call. Leave your name and address with one of the secretaries at Seychelles Technologies. And when you do that, you will be sent immediately, free of charge, a videotape that features Carl Palmer explaining his invention and another man, Deshaun, giving an overview of the company, and it gives you the number to it gives you the number to call. Okay. Now, what I like about this ad is the simple language that Gary uses. Okay, he's talking a very colloquial, conversational tone of language. He's very is a perfect example of agitation. Okay, where he builds up and builds up and builds up his case by showing you how little water there is on Earth, how the little water that's there, how it's dirty, the kind of things that are in there. His imagery is very sharp, very shocking. He talk about death and cancer and poison, and so forth. Anything that he can do in order to get your attention. He doesn't go soft on the language in that respect. Okay, he really want to place your hand over the fire until it start burning, and you want to pull your hand, and it keeps it over, and that's agitation that is he uses here. So I think that is a very good example of agitation and building up your case by not only providing scientific information but also giving the layman explanation for this product. So there is a lot of lessons, I think, to learn from this ad. So take some time to review it, and you're going to find more lessons than what I mentioned here. I think one of the newsletters, Gary actually goes through the letter itself and gives some explanations of what he used. That's also instructional that you can find on the Gary Halbert newsletter as well. But this is a great letter to learn from, and there's a lot of copywriting techniques you can benefit from here.